Hello everyone and welcome back to the next episode of the Road to Feed the Master series. This is a nice and round episode number 80 in which I will cover the analysis of the round number 7 from the Cracovia Chess Festival. In this round I get paired with a lower rated opponent. Unfortunately, when you lose 2 games in a row, it's not that common to then get third player higher rated than you, right? You did not prove yourself against higher rated opponents, so there you go, you have the lower rated one. He was a junior player, and with those 2100 FIDE rating, you never know what exactly is going on with such a young guys. But I felt like this particular player might have been somewhat overrated because from what I've seen of his games, they were not that high level. So yeah, that's something I knew, but there was not that much time for the preparation because it was the second round of the day. The morning round I lost. This was the afternoon one. So yeah, let's see how the game went, because knight f3 yet again happened on the board as in the round number 5. So the other round that I've played with black pieces, knight f3 is once more on the board. If you remember, in that game I went for the knight f6 d5 c5 setup, but in here I decided to deviate from it and play d6 on move number 1. It's not that popular of an option, but around 1 year ago I had a chance to work with a grandmaster from Poland, and he suggested basically d6 move after any of white's first move. And the idea is that depending on the opponent's choices on the move number 2, I will also choose my opening. So for example, if he plays e4, I am willing to go into the Sicilian defense all of a sudden. If he chooses to go for the d4, there would be some King's Indian defense going on. And if he decides to go for the c4 as he did in the game, I can set up myself with the e5 and then f5 moves. In here, the two critical choices from white is to either attempt d4 move rather sooner than later, or just ignore the fact that I am building in here a solid center control and just go for the g3. This was the variation that my opponent chose, and I had a chance to prepare at least a little bit. Knight f6, bishop g2, bishop e7, castle, castle, not that much to cover. However, in here, b4 move has happened, and it caught me off guard in a sense, because I was prepared to meet d3 move and then the b4 and then the a4 follow up and the overall initiative on this side of the board. But before immediately, I felt like in terms of the attack on the queen side, obviously it will be faster. However, I was thinking about, all right, does the fact that my opponent did not include d3 move matter, or does it not matter? So I wanted to think about that, and I felt like my opponent is playing fast because he did that, but there are two kinds of playing fast. The confident fast playing, or just I don't care type of fast playing. And I felt like my opponent is not that confident with the preparation because he couldn't have had prepared it all, because this is not a setup I ever chose. So he was kind of out of the opening, but still playing fast. So it's more like a I don't care type of thing that I am well prepared kind of thing. I'm not sure if that makes sense to you, but this just was the vibe I was getting. So I decided, okay, I need to consider this e4 move, and in the end I actually went for it, because I've calculated that after knight jumps into the center, which I somewhat expected, after knight e1 I would be thinking what to do, but after knight d4 I saw from the distance that I can play c5, and after he goes back, d5, and I believed very much that he was simply not prepared for all those pawn pushes. And the idea of d5 especially is that I am opening up the diagonal, making use of the fact that this pawn is hanging, and also trying to push d4. So it's not that easy for the opponent to react to it, and basically there is only one and only move that does not make white's position worse. And my opponent didn't find it, because the idea is that if he takes me here, I can push d4, and the pawn I will retake later on, and I have amazing space control and center control. If he takes me like this, I can take him there, and this knight has difficulties to jump to a safe space, and if he does that, like, I don't even care where, d5 pawn is hanging, so I'm getting a pawn advantage. So this pawn cannot be taken, this pawn cannot be taken, and if neither is taken, I still can take there or push here, right? So the only choice for white to continue this position would be to play knight takes d5, to not allow me to take on b4 with a tempo to the knight. And then after takes, I have a choice of either taking here, making the position pretty much very different in terms of the structure in the position, or I could take queen takes d5, saying, okay, I want to play more balanced position. And so I would have the two choices, and I was happy with both, because both would lead to either imbalanced or even more imbalanced position. And this is exactly the type of scenario I wanted with the, let's say, lower rated guy. Indeed, he in here went for bc5, allowing me d4 move, because in here he at least does not encounter very specific problems. But I just knew that overall I cannot be any worse in here, and if anything I should be even better. I continued development normally, so did he. He played d3, I chose knight c6, and after his rook b1, I have spotted that, well, this knight is not the greatest, right? So I can just simply try to attack it, and once it moves back, look at the position. Like, this knight has nowhere to jump, literally. This knight neither, so like he cannot jump there and there. What would he do there? So plenty of opponent's pieces have basically nothing to do. I have all the space. I should be much better already. And so after a6, my opponent chose bishop a3, not knight a3, with the idea that obviously if I take, he can take here, attack there and so on, so I don't do it. The only question is, should I exchange or should I protect the bishop somehow? Because if we consider that position in comparison to that one, obviously I would rather have this good bishop against this mediocre one, let's say. So this bishop a3 inclusion was a indeed good choice of the opponent. But in here already I had a very easy choice, and I am quite mad at myself for not playing it, because I played very fast in here to just show and express the feeling that I am better, and for my opponent to feel uncomfortable, right? And I played knight d7, not taking the bishop, but protecting it with the idea that once he exchanges, let's say in this scenario, I exchanged the good bishop for the good knight, because the knight in here is obviously a very good one. And in here, yet again, the problems remain the same with the white knights. And I evaluated that after knight d6, which may happen thanks to the, let's say, x-ray through my bishop, after takes, knight c5, takes, I am also fine, because this bishop was not that good either. However, still, when comparing this position to that one, I would much rather prefer to keep this bishop, because opponent then would keep the knight on c2. And even though the bishop is not the greatest, it has some potential. Imagining that I would try to develop it in here, maybe I would create some battery there, maybe I would push f4, and then in itself the bishop would get much more active. So yeah, I feel like I underestimated this knight d6 idea, because I felt like it's an okay exchange for me, but in reality it was not. And on top of that, at this point, instead of knight d7, I should have gone with very easy move with the very same idea, just different execution. So not knight d7 protecting the bishop, but b6 protecting the bishop. Knight d6 is not a possibility even in here. Therefore, bishop c5 is the only move. bc5, knight a3. So basically I got myself the very same position as previously, but when we compare this one to that one, which was in the game, and this one, sorry, this one, not this one, right? So this one, that one, and that one, depending on what exchanges happened, it's rather clear that this position is the greatest for me, because even though I do not have either the bishop or the knight on c5, the pawn actually feels even better in here. I solidified the pawn structure. This b file means basically nothing for the opponent. He has no entry points whatsoever, ever. This pawn gave me the solidified status in the center limits the knight further. If this knight is limited, this one is too, right? So opponent have so many problems with coordination, with the activity, with the space, that I can indeed, also thanks to this solid center, basically start pushing h4, h5, h4, or g5 included or not. I can lift my rook like this to the center, or this to the center, or maybe there to like attack. And I have everything in here. It's move number 15, 16. I have black pieces and I am completely dominating my opponent. If you would like to play it slow, the only moves that he have is knight e1, knight a to c2, but they don't help that much. And if not, he would have to go for some crazy tactical approach trying to break through this whole space advantage of mine, but it cannot work that well. So to be honest, practically speaking, I am on the verge of winning this game, already in here. After knight d7 that I chose, here, I am far from winning. Yes, I am better, but far from winning. So I am really disappointed when it comes to this specific moment, because I felt like it's a very crucial one, but yet I spent very little time there. On top of that, due to those exchanges that happened, not only is white's position easier to navigate, but also he's maybe willing to go for some further exchanges, right? So this is the problem. So even though, yes, this knight is good, yes, it protects, its attack, and it protects, and so on, it's kind of also stuck there because it has to do all those things. With the pawn on c5, I would have much more flexibility. On top of that, I mentioned that it's easier for white to play the position, and for me as black, it was not easy to navigate because I didn't know if I should go for the kingside attack and initiative anyway, or maybe should I just try to play some prophylactic move like king h8 and wait for the opponent to do anything, or should I react on the queen side because knight b4 is incoming? Is it a good exchange or maybe not? For me, for him, yeah. All of a sudden, few questions popped by and I had no answers to them. I played a5, which I knew that covers the knight b4 move, but it weakened the b5 square, therefore the rook went just there. I had to protect the knight, and one more good move from the opponent, if I am not allowing the exchange there for this knight, he will go to a1 to play knight b3 and to exchange those knights. Even better one, right, of mine. It kind of gave me the vibe of the Ding Gukesh game during the World Championship when knight a1 was a powerful move. In here it's not like it's powerful, it's a complete shift and white is winning. My point is though that during the opening phase and early middle game phase, my opponent showed nothing basically in terms of the strength. I was cruising, I was getting more and more advantage. All of a sudden, for him it's kind of easy to play, so it's not like he started to show some mastery of strategy or anything. It's just me not being able to create enough problems for him. So yeah, frustrating span of the few moves. On top of that, after a4 that I have now played to stop knight b3, knight went back to c2 once more, maybe or maybe not exchanging on b4. I had to ignore it because I cannot stop it at the same time, so I decided that instead of trying to go for the queenside moves, I played rook c2 e8 with the idea that after some move from the opponent, he chose queen d2, I will push f4, trying to completely tear apart the king side, possibly even with some pawn sacrifices, just for the sake of opening up the situation and once more getting more control, let's say, over the position, even though it might have meant that I would be down some material. Opponent though surprised me a lot, and it was very good decision of him. At this point I felt like the only one so far in the game, because instead of dealing with my pressure along the king side and debating should he take like this or like this or like this, or should he ignore it, this and that, he just out of the blue, at least for me, took on c5, removed my great knight from there, and then took on e4. And it's very good practical choice because I am losing control over the game. My problem was that I was burning, not using, but burning a lot of time on nothing. So in here, it's still quite a few moves until the time control, and I did not have that much time. And my opponents, just switched everything. I knew about the position, changed my world, let's say, in here. And practically speaking, without this knight, my pawns in here will no longer be protected. With this amazing bishop, the light squares are in the full control of the opponent. And so, yes, even objectively, it's not bad. It's interesting. Practically, it's very good. So, very interesting approach from my opponent. And as I've said, I kind of lost the ground in here because I really did not rate my opponent that highly. Therefore, after queen h5, which seemed logical, and after bishop f3, queen h6, I just wanted to tear him apart anyway on the king side, thinking that, okay, I have the material advantage, I am better player, this and that, so let's go for something. And the problem was that, once you get the feeling that your opponent is not as good, you kind of play on his level, if you know what I mean. Like, once you have the better opposition, better player, you kind of try more of your best. I'm not sure how to explain it properly, but I hope that you get what I mean. And I mean that I was relying in here on some really not that great pure tricks with no explanation for them in general, because in here I wanted to really make use of this not protected queen. So imagine that he played something, I don't know, like here, right? I would then try to take on g3 so that after exchange I can take additional pawn and then take there, get a pawn advantage. When he moved to g2, the queen on d2 is still not protected, so I was trying to think of a way that I can kick away this bishop so that f3 would be an discovery attack. But come on, even if I am not rating my opponent that highly, I mean, he still has 2100 elo, so he will not blunder it. And for me to really try to make it work in any kind of way, like it was just unnecessary at best. So I was burning more time in here. I've calculated some stupid lines after 95 because I felt like if he checks me king h8, this is in the, let's say, in the air, but knight d4 was played, my pawn is lost, f3 is not working because knight f3 happens, and then this discovery attack meant nothing. Even now I was trying to make work something like this, maybe that, but whatever. Even if I do all the tricks like discovery attack, sacrifice, forks, like what for? I am still losing the material here and there. It's simply not working. Knight f3 did not work either. If I had some knight e1 check, so the knight would have survived, then alright, but it does not. And in here, I am lost actually. What are those pawns? I mean, the exchange is not enough to compensate for everything. So what else did I calculate in here? I believe some knight g4 too, trying to make then work some stuff, because after knight f3 I was thinking about this, so that if he takes with the king I have this, and funny enough it still does not work because king e1 is there protecting the queen. What else did I want? And obviously like rook f2 finishes everything. What else? I believe I also thought about that, so that if he takes now, the difference is I can take on e2, and I'm actually crashing through in one and only variation, I guess. But obviously at this point he can exchange first, and then after this I thought that after this once more I am entering, but in here king g3 was saving my opponent, and I just not sacrificed, but I exchanged the queens and made my position much weaker for nothing. Was there any other trick? If I remember correctly, I even thought about this, so that if he takes I can take, and then I can sacrifice, I can checkmate. But yeah, I'm just showing it, guys, to show you how deep I went into some really stupid tricks instead of focusing on the position itself and trying to play it as am supposed to play it, like normal chess, normal game. So yeah, F3 I've burned so much time already. I mean, I gave the pawn away. In here, I played rook f5, thinking that, oh, maybe he will take, maybe he will blunder. Like, yeah. Stupid, simply so stupid. And obviously my opponent, after taking the pawn on d4, central one, he decided, okay, I've had enough, I will not blunder. Let's just go to f3, stop this nonsense of black that he is trying to do. And already in here, since my f-pawn is blocked, since the queen is protected, no more tricks are there. I lost the pawn in the process. Materially speaking, I'm not better. Yeah. So, how did the game continue? I played rook e2 f8, trying to solidify my position if anything. My opponent exchanged the knights and played bishop f3, so he's still kind of in the defensive mode, I would say and imagine, because he's exchanging, but at the same time this bishop is so dominating in the position overall that maybe he was just trying to regroup and then go for the activity, but objectively speaking already I am worse, and that's the fact. I chose once more a cheap trick. Well, take my rook, right? I mean, yeah, no words. Obviously, with the battery there too, he had to defend it. He played h4. And now I felt like since my queen is finally protected and the pawn has pushed so that there is little defense of the g3 I can take, but not in the hopes of winning the game, right? But in hopes of getting at least somewhat playable endgame, if anything. My opponent in here decided that he is the one fighting for a win, and rightly so, because I have been playing this position very badly. He played queen before. I was playing this badly that maybe, I would not have seen my rook being hanging. But I saw that, so I played rook h f8, fg3. So looking at this position, this is somewhat the moment in which the things have settled down, at least a little bit, and at least in my eyes, because I finally acknowledged that I have misplayed the position. Materially speaking, it's around even, and I have no clear targets. So my idea for now was to survive until the time control, mostly. And how to do it? Well, at first I thought about solidifying the weaknesses, so I played b6. Queen a4 happens, so materially speaking, I'm not good anymore, but at least because the queen is somewhat not attacking either there or there, I can activate my queen now, trying to put some pressure onto the opponent. He played rook f2, a good solidifying move, and in here I just couldn't wait until a better moment, to be honest. It was either lack of the patience or lack of the calculation possibilities and abilities or something else. I'm not sure because the time was low, but I went for g5, disrupting my position even further. And even if practically speaking it's not that bad of the position, objectively too, taking into account the amount of time I had left, it's very bad. I still will have to make at least 4 moves until time control, and I'm completely opening up my king, so it may as well backfire. And indeed, because my opponent played queen d7, I took on h4, once more slight inaccuracy, not taking into account my opponent's counterplay, because it's clear that queen is not really looking at the rook, but rather at the d4 square with the checks, with the forks, with some solidifying too. So queen e3 was very quiet, but a very good move of me to consider, at least because I'm threatening with g4. I'm hitting there, I'm protecting here and other dark squares, so I'm putting real pressure. Gh4 was far too early, queen d4 happened, and indeed one more choice to make before time control, and this is the deciding one. Will I lose or not lose? Well, deducing from how this analysis goes and how negatively I am commenting on it, you may guess, might have guessed that yes, indeed, I chose the wrong variation, because obviously I have this or that choice. King G8 makes no sense because of bishop D5, and I can basically resign. And maybe counterintuitively or maybe intuitively, I will let you decide, guys. Rook 5 to F6 was a better move. The idea being that yes, this rook will be under some pressure if the bishop goes away somewhere, but I will be always having queen h6 move trying to defend the rook. What I have calculated in here though is that after any basically bishop move, like I don't know, e4, d5, even b7, whatever, let's say d5, it looks nice. After this and this, I am not really able to take with the rook, or maybe I am, but the point is that in this endgame or in that endgame, because still I'm hit there and there, I perhaps will exchange. I have 0.000, not even 0.1 chances for a win, even though I have the exchange because all of the white pawns, right? So, and I wanted to win, but the problem was that with 1 minute on the clock, I have calculated that in here I have no way to win. So I decided, okay, let's play there. Maybe in here I will win. It's not a good decision to make because now simple e4 kills the game on the spot. I am hit there, I am hit there. There is still the pin. The problem is that my rook that I have left on f5 has very, very limited space for itself, and I have plenty of difficulties. I have tried h3 check as a decoy, as a deflection type of mode, but yeah, I'm simply dead lost. e4 was something I missed because I have not had enough time to think about it. Queen f2 might have been the let's say chance and choice, if not for the fact that after here, the opponent game is simply lost because of all of the white pawns. And even if I would play in between move, trying to make use of the overload of the white king, king goes away. If I take, he takes, and still is in the, you know, square of my pawn, I am losing. So no possibilities to do any desperado kind of thing. So h3 it is, he took, I checked, he went back, and I went away with the rook. So my idea was that thanks to this maneuver, including the pawn sacrifice, I gave a check, so it was with a tempo, and now I changed the defensive responsibilities. Queen is the one defending, rook is free to go, but it's not true. Opponent have a choice to make my life even more miserable. The only question is where should the bishop go to, and he went with the most precise way, bishop h5. I believe even a brilliant move, because white does not care about the bishop being taken. I mean, any type of endgame like this will be obviously winning, and if so, this bishop has one job to do, is to cover g6 square, because imagine that he would have went back there. Rook g6 is incoming, right? So I'm kind of holding on. But first of all, bishop h5 still works, but obviously it's better to do it straight away. In here I chose one more trick. As you can tell, in this game I relied only on those. I did not play good game otherwise by any means. I played rook takes g3 check, so that after takes queen g7, I have now closed the diagonal. My rook is free to go. And with those hopes, I thought maybe my opponent will blunder and play a move like this so that I can deliver the discovered attack. And apparently it's not that bad of a try of myself. But after the time control, with so much time on the clock and with the motive being so obvious, my opponent chose one and only, but still an easy move to make, which is king h2. I have no discovery check in here. I have one in there, but obviously the point is that queen protects the rook. And you may say that, okay, I can still fight, queen's endgame, king wide open, so on. But there is no queen's endgame, there is still the bishop. And if I would attempt to take it thanks to the double attack, I am checkmated. So everything aligned in a way for the opponent to work, for me to not work, but it's not like the chess gods were against me that day. I was against myself that day. I allowed all that by relying on some cheap, dirty, unuseful tricks, and yeah, this is it. Like, I gave this check on e5, but I did not take the bishop. I gave one more check, second one, third one, fourth one, and yeah, I finally resigned. I should have done that perhaps those 5 moves ago, but I still continued. Terrible game, terrible feeling, third loss in a row. What can I tell you guys? Tough few days in the office. Just few days back, I was fighting for the first time ever to get the desired title, right? After few more days, I am losing rating and I'm far from away from reaching the goal. So mentally speaking, I was not in the right state, but I knew that I cannot simply resign and play such a bad chess for the rest of the tournament, because I cannot bleed so much rating. So I had to bounce back. Thankfully, after this double round, so double loss for me, there was only single round the next day, so I had some time to live with my thoughts and emotions for this one day and regroup, let's say. And yeah, we'll see how did it go in the future 2 rounds. But as of now, as you can tell, I'm leaving you with not the best mood. But it is chess. It's brutal. I know it after so many years of playing, and we go again next day, right? So this is it for us to. We will meet tomorrow for the next game, for the next analysis, and we'll see how will my mood reflect on the game during those. As of now, and as for this one, thank you all for watching. I hope that you learned at least something from it, as did I. And yeah, thanks you all for watching. We'll see each other. Bye bye.